16, and quite soon you've populated the planet. I'd like to show you how soon that is, actually. I'm going to have to take a bit of time out here. No, I'm going to do it. There, look, there's the man who created life, so he said about 3 years ago. This is Craig Venter. You may know him. He created a bacterium from bits and pieces he found around the laboratory. This thing grew, and it expanded, it replicated itself. So that would seem like life. There it is. Half an hour later, of course, it looked like that. Half an hour later. Well, to cut a long story short, after a day, he would have a lump of Craig Venters about the size of a sugar lump. That's a trillion Craig Venters in there, more or less. Trust me on this one. You'll see how it works. So half an hour later, of course, he's got 2 trillion, then 4, then 8, then 16, then 32, then 128, then 300. We got a box full of them. 7 hours later, we had a container full. So to get the container all together cost 1 day to get the sugar lump, then 3.5 hours, then 7 hours in all, 1 day and 10.5 hours. Now we're going to put that in a container yard. There it is in the container yard. Half an hour later, of course, there's 2, then there's 4, then there's 8, then 16, then 32, then 164, then 128, then 256, then 512. And we've got a container yard full. Now, has anybody, have you all been to the Tower of London? Yeah. Okay, if you haven't, please go there soon, because we're going to take it over with Craig Venter. There he is in the centre of town, and we have to zoom out a little bit because every half an hour he gets double in size. This is all measured, so believe the maths on this, please. Taking over East Enders, West Enders, and North Enders, and South Enders. We've taken over Greater London in 1 day, 19.5 hours, and we haven't finished yet because we're expanding into the southeast. Oh dear, we don't like that, do we? Let's move in over to Wales. Now we've got a unit of measurement now. We've got a Wales of Craig Venters, then a Scotland, then of course all the west coast and Ireland, and oops-a-days, we've all got them nearly 2 days up. But we haven't stopped there because we're going to take over Europe and Scandinavia and all of the Atlantic, and in fact, hello England, bye. In fact, we're going to conquer the world in another hour and a half. So 2 days, 4 hours it takes us to get across the world, but of course that's only skin deep. We lack ambition! Let's go down! Dig deep. There we go, down and down into the centre of the earth. This is a bit of a short shot, so let's take a longer shot. The centre of the earth's at the bottom. You can't see us because it's a big scale, but there we go. Into the centre of the earth, nearly there. 2 days, 12.5 hours, and finally, 2 days, 13 hours, we're into the middle. Now, you don't believe that, do you? That seems just too incredible. So I've got a demonstration here. I didn't believe it either. What I did was to take a lump of plasticine the same size as the ball that's inside it, and I skinned it on the outside. So that's the skin of plasticine on the outside of the ball, just the same as there. If I take the ball out and squeeze up the plasticine, you will see that actually the ball of plasticine is the same size as the ball that it went in. Okay? So I was right. Okay, good. So we've done it. We've completely filled the planet in 2.5 days only. That's what bacteria can do. Half an hour later, it looks like that. Half an hour later, it looks like that. Half an hour later. Okay, I know you realise that actually hasn't happened, has it? No. At the end of the week, we still have the same number of Craig Venters as we had at the beginning of the week. And the reason why nothing's happened very much is because most of them have died. You see, every bacterium, every piece of DNA that's created and then replicated is slightly different from its neighbour. So look at those 2 molecules. You see that one's got a bit of a droop, it's a bit mutant. Those 2 are different, and every one of those bacteria was different. Only the ones that could possibly survive, who were fittest to the environment, were the ones who survived right to the end of that experience, as with all the bacteria around us. There's one Craig Venter. There's his son, there's another one of his kids, there's another one. Which one is the one that will survive? We don't know. But what we do realise is that the most important thing about life on the planet is death on the planet. Keep that in mind. It's a very important law. So, we're now moving on to the 3rd section, which we call, yes, okay, convergence. This is what happens.